Welcome to the final video of Shimmering Skies card reviews. I'd love some feedback in the comments about how you would like me to do my set review. Would you like me to just do one big video where I go through all 204 cards and review them? Would you prefer separate videos for each ink color? Let me know. Also, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the deck building streams that are going to be coming up very soon. We've got Retrosphere and Royal Guard. I'm literally going to skim through these. I'm not even going to talk about them. If you want my thoughts on each of these cards, you can go and watch the starter deck video. I just wanted to make sure that I include all of them for the sake of us covering all the cards in this series of videos. So again, if you want to go see my thoughts on all of those, go check out the starter deck video. The starter decks are really good. So Nala got revealed today. She is the Mischievous Cub. 1 cost Ingable 0/4. There's also a Emerald card with this stat line. I think Little John is the card's name. There isn't any Shift Nalas or Shift Little Johns at the moment, so I don't really expect them to see much play. But they're really not bad cards. I think a 0/4 stat line definitely has a place. 4 willpower is a lot for a 1 cost card. I mean, Daisy Duck is a 1/4 that quests for 2. It is uninkable, and it does have like a downside on its ability that when your opponent, whenever it quests, your opponent draws a character card if it's on the top card of the deck. But that Daisy Duck is one of my favorite cards from the set. This Nala, I only quest for 1. It is inkable. I doubt it's going to see play though. But honestly, for like an aggro deck, you'd probably rather have a stat line like this than a 2/2 or a 1/3. Like, there's definitely some decks that would prefer to use this as a vanilla 1-drop, so I don't think it's a bad card by any stretch. And next we have Lilo, the Junior Cake Decorator. It's 2 cost inkable, 1/3 stat line quest for 1, and it has support. Peanut butter and pineapple. This will be the best cake ever. Not really going to see much play. Support as a keyword just hasn't really ever quite been worth it. Like, it seems like Ravensburger value the support keyword a lot, so then the cards tend to be a little bit understated that have it, which is why there's not really a single card which comes to mind which has got support and sees competitive play as it stands. And you'd probably rather have that 3/1 stat line that Philatites has from set 1 rather than a 1/3. But we have Minnie Mouse Drum Major, which is a super rare. It's a Floodborn, costs 5, but you can shift it for 4. 4/4 stat line quest for 2 is a very nice stat line because it's out of Madame Medusa range. Parade Order is the ability. When you play this character, if you use shift to play her, you may search your deck for a character card and reveal that card to all players. Shuffle your deck and put that card on top of it, not in your hand, on top of it. I don't really like this card particularly, if I'm honest. If it added the card into hand, I would be more interested. But the thing to bear in mind is when you're shifting a card, you've got 1 character on the board and you're replacing that with this. So you're putting 2 cards from your hand down onto the board to just put a character card of your choice on top. Now, there's obviously some synergies there. Things like Bruno Madrigal. But I don't think this one is quite doing enough. There are quite a lot of different Minnie Mouse characters to shift this onto. So that's something to bear in mind. But shift 4 for a 5 cost is quite expensive as it is. And the card is just not really doing enough, I think, unfortunately. It's certainly an interesting card, but my feeling is it's not good enough. And next we have Moana, and I don't know what it is about this artwork, but I love it. This is one of my favorite artworks from maybe even the whole game. Is that weird? I don't know what it is about this card, but it just looks really, really cool to me. This is a 3 cost uninkable, 3/4 that quests for 2. And it's really good. I like the look of this card a lot. It's a vanilla card that's uninkable, but the stats are really solid. 3/4 quest for 2. I mean, I have to say, when I'm raving about this card as much as I am, it really puts into perspective just how strong Mr. Smee is, right? Which is a 3/3 that quests for 2. It costs 2 and it's inkable. Okay, it has that small downside. This is certainly no Mr. Smee, but I think this card is good enough to see play in the right kind of deck. The hero and princess tags are definitely 2 of the more relevant tags in the game as well. So it's a pretty cool one. Investigate every part of the Illuminary, find the Chromacons, restore the Illuminary. How hard can it... Wait, what was that noise? Gonna do a video hopefully soon on the lore of Lorcana, because we're learning quite a lot about the story from all these cards now revealed. We've got Cogsworth, 1 cost inkable, the Illuminary Watchman. It's got 1 strength, 1 willpower, it quests for 1. Time to move it. When you play this character, chosen character gains rush this turn. Step to it. Time is of the essence. It's an interesting card. I mean, it's worth bearing in mind that I think Sapphire Amethyst got some support this set. And the 5-cost Cogsworth, it's easy to forget, it is a Floodborn, it is a shift. So this is a shift target for that. It's obviously not spectacular. It's a 1-cost character you don't want to play on turn 1, right? Like, it's a bit of a weird card. You, on turn 2, let's say play a Madam Imp Snake, and on turn 3 rather, you play a Snake and a Cogsworth, you could give you Snake Rush. But it's 2 cards from your hand you're expending to do that. It could be a nice bounce target. It could, for sure. But I'm not super convinced. I think without shift synergy, it's not going to be good enough, but maybe it could be. It's certainly a weird old card. Amethyst, if you've got an abundance of card draw, maybe you can afford to have this extra weird card in your deck, but I kind of doubt it. And next we have the Maleficent Vexed Party Girl. Now there's a bit of a connecting art somewhere with all of these villains in the line who are just not getting let in, and I'm really here for it. I'm excited to see all of those put together. 3-cost Ingable, 0/4 stat line, which quests for 2. What an awkward situation. Whenever this character quests, you may choose and discard a card, of yours that is, to return chosen character, item, or location with cost 3 or less to their player's hand. It's honestly not bad. I think in a Amethyst Steel deck in particular, maybe one you're using a Whole New World, this could be a pretty interesting option as like a control tool. You discard one of your cards, you bounce something back into your opponent's hand, you sing a Whole New World shortly thereafter. That has a lot of potential in that kind of deck. The question is, do you really want to play an Amethyst Steel Whole New World deck? Maybe not, but if there ever is a world in which you do, this is a very interesting option for that. There's also a Floodborn Maleficent, which I didn't particularly like the look of, but I do believe the Floodborn Maleficent is benefiting from like the more Maleficents that you have. There's also worth mentioning like this 1-cost Amethyst Diablo, which does something like whenever you play a card called Maleficent, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one on the top, one on the bottom. And there's a lot more Maleficent cards now, so maybe like an Amethyst Emerald deck, you could play a bunch of 1-cost Diablos, and then the 3-cost Diablo to shift in consistently. So there's some potential with this one. I actually quite like the look of it. It's certainly not a plug and play card, but it's the kind of card in the right deck. It's really, really strong. Magical Aid, which is a 3-cost Ingable action. Chosen character gains Challenger 3, and when this character is banished in a challenge, return this card to your hand this turn. You've got some power in your corner now, Genie. This card is pretty interesting. I honestly quite like it. Again, pretty niche. What a lot of you will know, my kind of take on action cards that don't draw is I'm usually just not a big fan. But while this is not drawing you a card, it is replacing itself, right? You use this, you get Challenger 3, and then you could get a really good card back into your hand, right? You get Challenger 3, you trade out... I mean, imagine giving this to Maui, right? You've got Challenger 9 Maui, and then you remove the Maui. It's probably a bit too niche, isn't it? Because it is... You have to remove it that turn. But, I mean, if there's like a card which you really, really want desperately back in your hand, which has a huge impact when it hits the board, maybe, for example, Prince Naveen in Amber, the new legendary, which when you play it, you can play a action or song, maybe a song specifically that costs 6 or less for free. That could be a really good card to replay multiple times. So you could give it Challenger 3, or have 7 strength. I just think it's a bit too niche, to be honest. But it's definitely not terrible. Okay, 2 cards I really like the look of both of these. And it's quite fitting they're next to each other because we've got an Emerald Mother Gothal, the Conceited Manipulator, also stuck in the queue. I'm really excited for this artwork. It's a 1/3 that quests for 1. And the ability Mother Knows Best. When you play this character, you may pay 3 ink to return chosen character to their player's hand. That is very good. That is a very good card. Mother Knows Best, that's inkable. Okay, it's going to cost you more, but you get a body down on the board for your trouble that can sing songs. I like this card a lot. It's not usually going to be something you're happy to play on turn 2, unless, of course, you're looking to shift it. But it's a card you can play on turn 2 for an understated card, but you could also play it turn 5 onwards for really good value. And it's a bounce target. I think in an Emerald Amethyst deck in particular, this is an incredible card. And of course, if the shift option is good, then this becomes even better. I have to say, I really like the look of this card. A beautiful lady never stands meekly at the back of the line. Mother Gothal Unwavering Schemer, which is a 6-cost Floodborn. It's a shift 4. It's 4/6 that quest for 2. Very good stat line. It is a super rare, and the world is dark is the ability. When you play this character, each opponent chooses one of their characters and returns that card to their hand. So it's a Mother Knows Best with a big body, but your opponent's in control of it. But you could play the Mother Gothal, bounce something back, and then shift this Mother Gothal then in the same turn even. That will cost you 11. I know it wouldn't, it will cost you 9. But I like both of these quite a bit. I have to say I particularly like the Mother Gothal Conceited Manipulator in a Amethyst Emerald deck. But this big Mother Gothal is also an interesting option in like an Emerald Steel deck where you're looking to play a Whole New World, for example. Could be a nice, interesting shift option. I'm not super keen on the Floodborn, but I really do like the look of this in an Amethyst deck in particular. The Conceited Manipulator. Alright, up next we have Ratigan, the Raging Rat, which is a 3-cost Ingable 1, 5-stat line at quest for 1. Nothing can stand in my way. While this character has damage, he gets +2 strength. Pretty bad card. 1/5 is a lot of stats, I will say, and a 3/5 would be fantastic. So if you can damage it easily, sure. But, I mean, honestly, this card is not bad. If this card quested for 2 and was uninkable, I would love it. But it doesn't, it only quests for 1. A card with like 5 willpower is a card you want to quest with usually. Having said that, it is a good card to be singing songs with. There's not really any Ruby 3-cost cards which come to mind that you would want to sing this with. It could be a really interesting option in Ruby Steel, for example. It's just a shifter. Because I think there's a Ratigan Floodborn. And a good way of singing cards like Let the Storm Rage On. So as a shift target, because I do think there was a big Floodborn Ratigan way earlier in the set. This card, therefore, could actually be really good. The world's most diabolical genius should never suffer such indignities. If there's a good shift target, and I think there might be, this could be an insanely good card in the right deck. 3-cost Ingable Pete, the Pastry Chomper, 4/3, quest for 1. His half-baked scheme to whisk away the food almost worked, but in the end, he got his just desserts. There is some kind of Pete card in this set, which is like getting better for the more Pete cards you have. But I don't think that card's good, and this card is not good either. Okay, on to some Sapphire cards. We have the Queen, Cruelest of All. Now, this is maybe another bit of a hint for Future of Lorcana. She'd seen what the ink could do for other glimmers. What could it do for her? So it seems like the 3 main villains on the scene right now is Hades scheming, we've got the Queen scheming, and we've got Jafar. They seem like the 3 to me that are the kind of most prominent. This is a ward card with a 0/4 stat line quest for 1. There's definitely a Sapphire Amber all-in Queen theme deck being pushed this set. And this is another card which could slot into such a deck. I don't think the deck would be particularly good. But, I mean, maybe. If the Queen theme deck is good, well, this is just some more support for it. But this is a very good shift target. Incredibly good shift target, actually. But obviously the Amber Queen from set 2 is a shift 2. You'd rather just shift it therefore on turn 2. I'm not sure there's any other Floodborn Queen cards, but yeah. It looks terrible on its own, but if there's good shift targets and there's enough payoff for the all-in Queen deck, it could see play in that. My gut feeling would be it's not going to see any play. Scrooge McDuck, the aficionado of that's not antiques. Antiquities. Alright, confession, I've never seen this film. Antiquities? What is an antiquity? Is that a misspelling or something? Surely it should be antiques. Is it like an Americanism? I'm very confused. Maybe I'm just illiterate and I've never heard this word before. 4-cost uninkable. 5/5 quest for 2? Mate, that's a lot of stats. I do like a vanilla stat line, a vanilla card with vanilla stats if its stats are good. And this is good. This could be a really nice card after 1 jump ahead, right? You go 1 jump ahead on turn 2 into a Scrooge McDuck. It is uninkable, it's true. But it's really not bad at all. This card looks tremendously good for a sealed deck. This basically has the stat line of a 5-cost card that would be inkable and wouldn't be bad, but you can play it a turn sooner, which with 1 jump ahead is definitely relevant. It's probably not going to see any play, but I mean, honestly, it could. The secret room should be right here. I can't believe I paid a whole penny for this map. Antiquities. I've never heard of that one before. Onto some more Sapphire cards. We have Prince John the Opportunistic Briber, also stuck in the queue. Of course I'm on the list. Check under PJ. It's a 1/5 that quests for 1, and the taxes never fail me is whenever you play an item, this character gets +2 strength this turn. I don't really like it particularly. If there's a Prince John shifter down the line, it's maybe okay, but I don't think that there is, and I don't think it's a very good card. On turn 3, especially for Sapphire, what do you want to play on turn 3? Ramp. What do you not want to play on turn 3? Prince John Opportunistic Briber. Sorry, mate. I just don't think he's ever going to be seeing any play. Up next, we have Minnie Mouse, the Quick Thinking Inventor, which is a 1-cost uninkable with a 1/2 stat line. Quest for 1. And the Cake Catapult. When you play this character, chosen character gets -2 strength this turn. So this is comparable to the Simba card in Ruby, which is a 2/1 uninkable 1-cost that quests for 1. And when you play it, a chosen character gets +2 strength this turn. So it's kind of interesting that it's not Mickey and Minnie, but it's Simba and Minnie. Obviously, this card has some synergy with Ruby, with things like Brawl and Medusa. But I don't like a 1-cost uninkable, which you don't want to play on turn 1. It's very, very impossible to see this ever seeing play in any deck that's not Amethyst as a bounce target. And I really doubt that it makes the cut in Amethyst in a similar way to I doubt Simba makes the cut. I had the hot take, which was slightly hyperbolic, that Simba was the worst character card we have in Disney Lorcana. I'm going to go ahead and say that this Minnie Mouse is even worse. This Minnie Mouse, Quick Thinking Inventor, might be the worst character card in the whole of Disney Lorcana. It's definitely a hot take, but a 1-cost uninkable that you don't want to play on turn 1, I don't think so. This is really bad. Up next, we have Donald Duck, a focused Flatfoot, which is a 3/4 that quests for 2, and the ability Baffling Mystery. When you play this character, you may put the top card of your deck into your Inkwell face down and exerted. So it's a ramp card, which is honestly pretty good, just like that instant ramp. A lot of these other more expensive Sapphire cards which ramp tend to be delayed, like it's when they're banished. The problem is like, 5 cost, if you go like Mickey on 3, you could play Donald on 4. That is not a bad curve. This card is definitely not bad at all. I kind of doubt that it's going to see play, but honestly, I could see a world where it does. I could see a world... Do you know what? I changed my mind. I actually like this card a lot. I actually really like this card. This looks like a great card in Sapphire Steel. You play Mickey on 3, you play Donald on 4, you get some more ramp, you sing a whole new world. That is very, very, very interesting. I quite like it. I think this could definitely see some play. There's just got to be one of those chromey thingies around here somewhere. Up next, we have Belle of the Ball, and this card, oh my days. I think this is the card which is going to finally push aggressive Sapphire decks into the competitive scene. I think this card could be great. I really, really do. Hero Princess. It's got a 2/3 stat line. It quests for 2, and it has Ward. And the ability Ushered into the Party. When you play this character, your other characters gain Ward until the start of your next turn. So it's a Ward character which gives all your other characters Ward. That's pretty good. There's a few cards similar to this that I've been quite interested in. For example, there's Aurora from the first chapter which gives all your other characters Ward, but she doesn't have Ward. There's also a Prince Philip card which gives all your other hero characters Ward. But Bella's just giving everything Ward until the start of your next turn, and she has Ward. Why I really am interested with the potential of this card is bouncing it as well, right? So you could play Belle on turn 4. Let's say you play it on turn 5, because that makes it a bit cleaner. And then on turn 6, you quest with it for 2, which is a lot. And then you Madam Mim Snake and replay it. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? It's a hero, it's a princess, which are definitely very relevant tags, as I've mentioned before. It's a very, very interesting card with huge potential. Up next, we have Vision of the Future, which is a 2-cost inkable action in Sapphire. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, put 1 into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. It's kind of similar to Develop Your Brain, but more expensive. This is a card which could see play. People try and play Scuttle for like a similar reason to dig for the Lucky Dime. So this is the kind of card which could see play to dig for Lucky Dime. I have to say I prefer Develop Your Brain. It's just more efficient. In terms of, it's cheaper. But this does look for, this is a good card, isn't it? This is a very, very good card. This is a great card. Having said that, Develop Your Brain is also a great card, and it does get cut quite frequently. And therefore, Vision of the Future is not just going to be like an auto-include card or anything like that. In a different ink color, like if Ruby had access to this card, for example, you would just play 4 copies of this in a lot of Ruby decks. But Sapphire has a lot of tools like this already, like Flaversham for card draw, Develop Your Brain. But I do think it's very, very good. We must repair the Illuminary before it's too late, and we'll need these devices, these Chromicons, to fix it. Oh, hello. Okay. Another Sapphire card, Hideaway, which is a 2-cost inkable action. And put your chosen item or location. Put chosen item or location into its place. Inkwell face down and exerted. Nice Queen's Castle you got there, mate. Would be a shame if it was to be hidden away. Fauna. Oh my, we dropped some. Merriweather, you mean you dropped some. They've got some of the Chromicons, it seems. This card is big. There's a lot of location removal. What I will say is this card is very comparable to Rise of the Titans. And Rise of the Titans is not a card I'm a particularly big fan of. In general. But this is cheaper. And it's available in Sapphire. I think that there's a few more efficient location removal cards with this set. For example, the Kuzco and the Simba, which both cost 6. And when you play them, it does something similar. The Kuzco is in Sapphire and puts it into the Inkwell. The Simba is in Steel and it just gets rid of it. It's definitely a very good card. But I don't really like Rise of the Titans anyway. And this is kind of like Rise of the Titans. But it's definitely going to be a nice option for some decks to have, and I think it will creep into some deck lists. I probably prefer Rise of the Titans, to be fair. And I don't really like Rise of the Titans that much, so that's kind of tells you that I'm not that big of a fan of it. I definitely prefer like the Kuzco, for example, the 6-cost Kuzco, that when you play it, puts a location, I think it's just location, not location item, into players' Inkwell. Because that body and tempo... Like, this is a big loss of tempo, right? You remove their location, but they gain ink. And then they could just play another one the turn afterwards. This card, Mickey Mouse Food Fight Defender, is a contender for best 1-drop in the game. Now, that might sound a little bit outrageous. But this is incredibly good. Underestimating him is a recipe for disaster. I do want to say, I don't think it's the best 1-drop in the game. But it is possibly the most unique 1-drop in the game. And I also want to mention that there's the Mickey Mouse from set 4, which was in like the Ursula's Return, Ursula's co-op mode. It's like a 5-cost Mickey Mouse, which I think is shift 3. So as a shift target, this is just incredible as well. It can't be removed by Baboom or Fire the Cannons. It's like a 1-3, but better, right? Like if you think about the Olafs, the Minnie Mouses, these cards don't really see much competitive play anymore, but this is this, but this card is that, but better. It's a strict upgrade on that, right? It can't be removed, I mean, by Baboom. It could be removed by Smash, but what it couldn't be removed by is like 3 instances of 1 damage, right? Whereas an Olaf could. Like, you need 3 damage to clean up Mickey Mouse. And as a shift target with that 5-cost Mickey Mouse to then sing Whole New World, for example, absolutely mind-blowingly good. This card is really good. Do you know what? Before I post this video, I'm tempted to like order 3 more copies of the the Mickey Mouse from Ursula's Return with like that special pattern from the promo thingy-majigger, because I think this is a card. I think this is a really, really good card. And the shift option is interesting. It's something that the Ravensburger devs, when I've played against them in Bochum, have been a big fan of that 5-cost Mickey shift, but they were like Tim was shifting it onto the 2-cost Mickey Mouse standard bearer that gives Challenger. But this 1-cost Mickey Mouse is surely the ideal shift target. Like, this looks very, very good to me. I think it has huge potential. I think it's one of the best 1-drops in the game. One of the best cards from the set, which, I mean, it doesn't really look like it, does it, on paper, but I really think it's that good. Underestimating him as a recipe for disaster. I mean, there you go. The flavor text says all you need to know. Duck for cover, 2-cost Ingable action. Chosen character gains resist 1 and evasive this turn. This is pants. This is one of those actions which doesn't draw, doesn't replace itself, and just will never see any competitive play. Oh, I put Duck for cover up twice, my bad. Shield of Arendelle, which is an item, 1-cost Ingable item. Deflect. Banish this item. Chosen character gains resist 1 until the start of your next turn. Terrible. Really, really bad. But maybe in a Sapphire Steel deck for Flavisham, it's an extra item. I really doubt you're ever going to play this card ever. Okay, 2 to go, I believe, and they're two very exciting ones. The 7 Dwarfs are not in the starter deck, apart from one of them. I don't remember which. Like, the 0-4 Bodyguard is in the Emerald Steel starter deck. And they just don't look that great, and it was a bit odd. Like, it felt like something was missing, and this is what was missing. The 7 Dwarfs Mine, the Secure Fortress. 2-cost Ingable. It costs 2 to move a card there, which is a lot. It has 6 willpower, and it gains 1 law, which is honestly pretty good. Like 6, 1 law that's inkable is really good on turn 2. It is just expensive to move cards there, but with things like Tuk Tuk in Ruby, you can move Tuk Tuk and another card here. During your turn, the first time you move a character here, you may deal 1 damage to chosen character. If the moved character is a knight, deal 2 damage instead. I think this card's very good. So all the 7 dwarfs that have been released this set are knight characters. I don't think knight is that much of a popular keyword. But even just with like a card, for example, like the Tuk Tuk, the Ruby Tuk Tuk, which can move characters here for free. Even with things like John Silver as just a 6-cost location with 1 willpower on turn 2 in steel. This card is going to... I think this card's really good, actually. Like, ignore the ability for a moment. It's not that bad, right? But then if you can get the... Like, with John Silver in steel, because John Silver, the 3-cost, every location you have, it gains 1 extra law. And if you have 2 spare ink, you can, like, dealing 1 damage is very, very powerful. And then if you've got synergies which can move things to locations for free, it's great. And if you have knights, it's even better. So I like the look of this card quite a lot. I still think the 7 dwarf deck is going to be pants, even with this. But I think this in a John Silver location deck is a really, really nice addition to that deck. Because obviously if you're playing John Silver, you're playing steel. And this is just a very solid location. Like, 6 cost... 6 willpower, 1 law on turn 2 is a lot. Final card. Oh my goodness. This card is wild. Robin Hood, Sharpshooter. Someone at Ravensburger loves Robin Hood, and who can blame them? 4 cost, uninkable, 1-4 stat line, quest for 2. My greatest performance. By the way, this stat line is quite good. I mean, it's a Freitag stat line with 1 less strength, right? And obviously it's uninkable. So if the ability's good, spoiler alert, it's wildly good. Then I think this card's good. My greatest performance. Whenever this character quests, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal an action card with cost 6 or less and play it for free. Put the rest in your discard. I think this card's insane. So, it's whenever it quests, bear that in mind. And it's got 4 willpower and it quests for 2. Like, okay, it can be removed by Brawl. Sure. It can be removed by Medusa. Sure. But if it's not, it is not easy to deal with. You need 4 strength to remove it after it's quested once, and it's already got 2 law and big value. So, obviously, you're going to be wanting to play this in a deck which has a decent amount of actions. And for me, the place that this card is going to be played in is Amber Ruby. And I know what you're typing your comment, but Spessy, what about Bufasa? You're not going to have many actions or items in actions in your Bufasa deck. Yeah, you're not. Because I think that Ruby Amber has been very close for a long time to wanting to move away from Mufasa builds. And Mufasa builds are still absolutely options. I actually personally think Mufasa in set 4 is maybe the most underrated deck in the game. It's honestly grown on me. If I was playing in Bologna this weekend, I'm doing the commentating, I think I would actually seriously consider Mufasa, and I would have given it some testing. But there's the new Revive card, which costs 5. And you can replay a character from your discard. This is populating your discard, right? Which is good for Revive. You can revive your Robin Hood when it gets removed and loop them. You've got cards like Be King Undisputed. Maybe you play Ariel, like look at this family potentially. I don't know exactly, but I think this could be incredible in a Ruby Amber deck. The reason to play Ruby Amber is Rapunzel, right? Revive is great with Rapunzel. This card's great with Revive. It looks like a really, really nice card to me in Ruby Amber. And it's possible that there's also other decks you can use this in. But I really, really like the look of it in Ruby Amber. I mean, it's also worth considering that it could be interesting in a Ruby Sapphire deck because you can one jump ahead into it. Probably you'd rather one jump into Grammatala or Flaversham though, and it's a bit uninkable for a Ruby Sapphire deck. Of course, Ruby Amethyst, where you've got things like Friends on the other side, but you need a lot of actions for this because you want it to be hitting every time. And yeah, my feeling is that Ruby Amber could be where this is at. I think Revive with this card looks so good. That is all of the cards from the set. So please let me know in the comments how you want me to do full set reviews. Should I break it down into ink colors? Should I just do one big video where it's broken down into ink colors? Should I post 5 different videos on each ink color? Is there 6 inks? I don't know. Let me know. Thanks so much for watching all these reviews. It's been really fun. I'm super excited for Shimmering Skies. I think it looks like an incredibly good set. I think the meta is going to be wide open with the Bucky nerf as well, because I think that's amazing. And look out for these deck building streams soon. We're going to start building decks live on stream. You don't want to miss out on those. Cheers, guys. Appreciate you. Bye.